I'm reading one creator-owned comic every day for the month of October, and today I read FATL by Clint Stoker of Sweet Comics. By Clint Stoker and Charlie Snogans, and Fresher Luke, and Will Valley, and Eric Weathers. Lots of people on this team. It was a book, I recall, that was somewhat plagued by some unfortunate series of events, but it's here now. It took me a long time to get to read this, and one of the reasons I'm going to get into later as we dive into the book. The thing about this you're going to notice straight away is this super gorgeous Charlie Snogans art. Charlie came from, I believe, a filmmaking, like storyboard background. So the art is absolutely gorgeous, but it also comes with its own issues, and I'll get into that as well. I do want to start off by saying this genre, the swashbuckling spaceman, the kind of, is it like a Han Solo smuggler type character, or I loved Space Quest growing up. What other, like this? There's so many out there. Recently, I read Kit Carter by Aaron Lopresti. Fantastic. I love this genre. Valerian is a great example of this, where you got these crazy, worlds out there full of aliens and weird things and future tech and all that sort of stuff. I love that. So I was super pumped to read this, but there is a problem with this story, and that is, as far as I'm aware, they're not continuing FATL. This is the only FATL that's going to be made, as far as I'm aware. Clint is on to Downcast at the moment, and it was such an ordeal getting this book out. I recall, it was a while ago now, I think he said there's none more of this, and the problem with that is the way this story is written, we are thrown right into this. We just dropped right into the middle of essentially a battle that lasts pretty much the entire story, which can be great. I'm totally for just dropping you in, not giving you info dumps and everything. But in those instances, the story needs to continue, because there's all these things that we don't really know about yet, who these characters are, what they're all about. We're just in the middle of a fight. They're sort of, he's dropping some, information here and there in the middle of a fight organically as it happens. But as like I said, as far as I'm aware, we're not going to know what any of that is, because I think this is the one and only FATL, which is an issue that you do get in indie comics, in crowdfunding especially. And you hope that when people put out a story, they're going to continue it, but it's just not always going to be the case. Another issue, what I brought up earlier, was with the art. See, Charlie does these super crazy, there's so much detail on some of these pages. And I pointed out earlier, there were 3 colorists, Charlie himself, Fresher Luke, and Will Valley, all working on this book. I don't know exactly how they worked on it all together, but I do know there was a little bit of push and pull behind the scenes with that. And ultimately, I think with the amount of detail on Charlie's art, and just the kind of, all the different, chefs in the kitchen, I do feel like some of it is kind of, not to say it's hard to follow, but there's so much going on the page that sometimes I felt like it was hard to sort of know, where to look, because there was just so much. And I don't know if that's anyone's fault, or if that's just because of the way, Charlie draws. Look at this, there's just, there's detail upon detail upon detail upon detail, which is great if you're, wanting to see this just really gorgeous art. It's really almost impossible to fault. He's got his own style. It's very dynamic. It's very fluid. No one else draws quite like him. But when you're reading a story, especially a story where you don't really know who's who and who's what yet, it did, for me, it was a little hard to follow, and it was a little bit discombobulating to know exactly where it was going, or what was happening with it. Tons takes place in this book. I don't even know where to start. Here's FATL is it is just said here at some point. Maybe it's on the back somewhere. I've forgotten it. I apologize. I apologize, Clint. It's like they track down aliens and it's some kind of acronym. They do actually make a joke at some point in the book. They do call it FATL. I remember that was a thing back when it was being crowdfunded. People saying, "What's FATL?" That is actually a joke that made it into the book, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, he's hunting. Essentially, what I'm gathering is he's hunting aliens. He's on this world, and he's fighting these aliens. Meanwhile, this chick here, she's the princess. She's sort of living in a bubble, and she wants to get out and experience life. This is her bodyguard handler. She convinces her to let her out. They get into some bombastic action and end up together. And now they're going off on an adventure together, which is great. That's a cool start to a story. Again, I don't know if this is continuing. So that's sort of like the plus and the negative. Again, look at this gorgeous art. Just absolutely stunning. At the same time, there's so much going on. You know, it is a really, I wouldn't say it's kind of like a chore, not a chore, but you know, you've really got to work hard to sort of follow all the different, because there's just so much happening. And so that's, you know, unfortunate that, you know, we're not going to see any more of this, as, you know, as far as I'm aware. I haven't heard about anything. It's been years now, I think, since this came out. I don't even know if Charlie is still making comic art. I haven't seen him around, you know, in a long time. I know there were health issues there. But look, this is a very unique book. You know, never seen anything quite like it. Again, I really love the genre. I just, you know, we don't really get a chance to find out who all these characters are. There's a queen, she's super dangerous and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, look, FATL. I read it. It's there. Check out the gorgeous art. It really is something else. I'm looking forward to reading Clint's Downcast soon, which does come highly recommended. That's it from me for this one. I'll see you on the next one. All right, bye.